Hey guys, I just interviewed a good friend of mine, Garrett Maroon. It's going to be on my podcast soon. And Garrett brought up a really interesting conversation, which is the recipe approach. And the recipe approach is really an interesting concept. And I'm just going to share what his idea here is with this. We probably all have like a mom or a grandma or maybe an aunt or somebody in our family that is really good cook, right? They make delicious meals. Not me, but they do. And they have a recipe for that success, right? So maybe it's a cake. And when they have that cake, they got to put eggs and chocolate and flour in there and salt and whatever else they put into making a cake. And that recipe they put in the oven for a set amount of time, that creates a result. And the result is a delicious cake. When you look at top real estate agents, they figured out a recipe for success. And for everyone, it's a little bit different. Somebody may be baking cakes, somebody may be baking muffins, another one might be baking pies or cookies or whatever. But they have figured out their recipe for success. And this is really important because once they've got the recipe dialed in, what top agents do is then they continually bake the same cake, right? Figuratively, is that they just continue to use the same recipe over and over and over again. Why would they change it if it's working? So here's what we need to do. And then you think about when people start as bakers, they don't start out great. They start out, having to kind of fumble around and figure it out. Or they follow somebody else's recipe, which is okay. So what I see the best people doing is they start by modeling others, using somebody else's recipe, and then adapting it, changing it, spicing it up, doing some different things so they create their own recipe at the end of the day. So here's the thing. And he gave a great example of this. He said, let's say you set a goal, you want to work with maybe 2 new buyers every month. And maybe the recipe that you're going to try this month is this. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to shoot a social media video every day. I'm going to put that out. And then I'm going to do maybe an email out to my SOI once a week. And maybe I'm going to send out, 2 thank you cards a day. And maybe I'm going to, reach out to a couple people a week that I've had past contacts with, something like that. That's the recipe. And you run that recipe for the 30 days. You don't take it out of the oven too soon. You let it cook, right? Let it cook. And then at the end, you say, okay, what was my result? Did I like the cake that I got? Or did it not work? If it didn't work, I got to change something in my recipe to get it to work. Did I get my 2 buyers out of it? I just think it was a really great analogy for what we do in real estate. We're always trying to kind of recreate the wheel. Let's go out there and find some recipes. We give you a ton of them. We give you tons and tons of playbooks, in our coaching. You can just run one of those plays, run it for a full 30 days. Don't, bail on the trail. Don't quit too soon. Really give it some time. A lot of times people bail too early. And then see what your results are. And then if you say, maybe I could tweak this, maybe get this a little bit better, your recipe improves over time. So dive into your own recipe for success. Write out a recipe right now that you're going to try for 30 days straight and see what happens. See if we bake that cake that you deserve to be eating. Okay? Have a great day. Good selling. See you on the other side.